causes. This is what my mother used to send me. Pictures of St. Jude and the chain and the thing and prayers behind it. You know, it's like she had given up on her youngest son. She just threw me into St. Jude's, care. St. Jude. And then St. Christopher for lost souls too, I think.
St. Anthony.
Yeah, they're all.
Lost souls.
Yeah, they're all packed in. So
yeah.
There's to me, the relief is never at the point of the effect. The relief is more at the point of the cause. If you try to get relief from the effects, it becomes a form of slavery. Because you have to keep getting relief from the effects, because the cause is still causing them. The cause isn't being looked at. So you're going to have a lot of effects. And then so a lot of times on the way to live here, the idea of success is how good you can manage the effects of the initial disease, really. How can you stay somewhat comfortable in your own skin? How can you not flip out when you don't get what you want? How, you can, like a lot of people I know, they believe that if they just were good and they did everything they were told, everything should work out. And they're really surprised in life when it doesn't, Shit happens to good people. A lot. Shit. So, this, I always like to find the first knot. Once you find the first knot, and sometimes it will register when you find it, as to me like an unspoken yes or something. There'll be a hit of conviction that's not like any other conviction you've had before. Not conviction brought about by reasoning or by adulation of some authority figure. None of that type of conviction. It's a conviction that comes from some other place, but it has a real impact here. And like for me, in that life of using drugs and alcohol, one of the only redeeming things I had going for me at the end was that I do have the ability to be convinced. I finally was convinced at one point, and I've never drank or used again, and the problem does not exist for me anymore, because it doesn't exist as me.
What do you mean you're convinced?
I was convinced things that I was struggling with, things that I wouldn't accept, things that I wouldn't give into. Yes, like not being able to manage life and stuff like that, because I didn't even know how much managing my mind was doing. I didn't know the extent that my head was playing God. I had no freaking idea. I just thought it was normal to be thinking about things and trying to figure things out all day. I didn't know that I was, down the rat hole, really. And that's the whole dilemma, is you're unconscious to the situation you're in. And the mind will very rarely admit that, so it makes speculations about what's happening. And it's, it tries to convince itself, but that convincing is shallow. It holds no weight. As soon as something occurs, it blows that little house down. I'm talking about being convinced where one of the major things I was convinced of is when I came out of this place called Delancey Street. I had been in there 2 years. 2 years. Not like an outpatient. I lived there 24/7. I followed their rules constantly. And when I left there, I didn't really like a lot of the things about that place. But I had to admit that my life looked better with them running it than it ever did with me running it. This was a moment of being convinced of a really important thing that was constantly biting me in the ass. See, to me, the problem was not drinking and using. The problem is managing. It's the second aspect of the first step. The first aspect of the first step stopped as soon as I stopped drinking. I'm not experiencing powerlessness over alcohol because I'm not drinking any of it. Yeah? But the managing was what continues on. Yes? That playing God, I like the statement playing God, because it really captures it in a large manner. It's not managing like your affairs. That's just a major little blip in it. It's believing your head as the authority. As not having any immunity to the thought system that's cast in your head all day, K-Paul or K-Steve, not having any immunity to that is an effect of playing God. Because the mind is playing God, and it can produce false evidence, and it will appear real to you as a devotee to it. It doesn't appear real to someone who's not a devotee to it, but it appears real to you. This is the effects of playing God. And we're not even talking about watching the playing God. We're not even clear about the effects of playing God. Your drive to be right is an act of playing God. It's not you that wants to be right. It's that head wants to be right.
Since I've been listening to you, I started doing this thing of saying, okay, I'm not my thoughts. I'm not the thought that I'm not my thoughts. But I'm very aware that even though I'm saying that, I'm still kind of stuck in it. You know what I mean?
The point is that the one that's assuming it's stuck in it, and the one that's assuming it will be unstuck, you're neither of them. When the mind presents you or talks as if it's talking about you, that you, isn't. So no matter what the head says, it's just the head's just trying to triangulate you as a body. As soon as you believe that you're still stuck, you're somewhere at some time. You become an object. That's all that its drive is to cast you as an object. Yes? It's not about having that voice convinced. It can't be convinced. Because it's a dualistic binary system. Convinced, unconvinced. Convinced, unconvinced. It can sound so sincere, 5 minutes later, it's trying to rip you off. It has no ability to be convinced. If you're waiting for that thing to finally chime in and say, yes, I really got it, or no, I haven't got it, it's neither. Every voice in one's head is not the echo of what you are. It's an advertisement about what you're not. The echo of what you are is silence. Pause. That's the echo of what you are. This is an advertising campaign. Yes? It's playing God. It's telling you how you are. You're stuck. It's telling you that it would be great if you weren't stuck, which makes the belief that you're stuck even worse, Because it always tells you how great it would be if you weren't stuck. So you buy the first thing, it adds on the second thing, that it creates more exquisite suffering. Then you have a real drive to get out of it, which is another form of being in it. Every step of the outdoor is another indoor. Every time you see exit, you're entering another phase of the self. There's no escape. Self can't get out of self. You don't combat what's talking with more talking. You're just, let's say, you are that silence. At that moment, there is an awareness. Silence is what allows sound to occur. So you are the silence that's allowing that to be heard. You're not what it's talking about. That's the point. So you don't have to try to convince it that you are. That's just more talking. There's just a sense of the seeing of it. Haven't you sensed seeing it? You've seen the thought that, I'm not the thought, and I'm not the thought. But then you don't see the thought that I'm still stuck somewhere. That's another thought. Just as when you recognize, let's say, the 40th thought in a string of thoughts as not being real, the same principle applies to the first thought, that you're the thinker of it. They're all unreal. There's not like, in the Course in Miracles, they always say, there's no degrees in miracles, Every miracle is a miracle. It's not a big miracle or a small miracle. Yes, false evidence is false evidence. It's not a little bit of false evidence and then a lot of bit of false evidence. It's false evidence. So, every thought is not you. Every thought is not you. And the trick in it is that you've seen it. There's been an acknowledgement of the thought. You've seen it. That's not you. And you're never going to get to see you. It's the way we look is what's blinding us. Because we're looking from an idea that I'm this. Which causes what we are to be a that somewhere else. That this may get. You have to see it. that something that you already are gets displaced and made into an object somewhere else other than where you are. And now it's all about you getting it or losing it, closer, farther. And this whole story of the dilemma of trying to get this ungettable thing is told. Yeah? And it's like on and on and on. Yeah? Once you buy the subscription, it keeps coming in the mail. You don't want it anymore, but you've bought it. It's like those, remember the Columbia Records? You wanted the Santana album, and it was for a penny. You bought the Santana, hey, I got it for a penny. Then they just kept coming, and your mother and father would flip out. Who's fucking paying for all these records? Yeah? All I wanted was the Santana album, and it was a penny. No, it wasn't. You subscribed, and now you've got to get one every week. Yeah? So it's sort of this has nothing to do with changing anything in a way. Though things will change, yeah? But this, what I'm talking about, has nothing to do with changing anything. It's just recognizing what's actually so. There's a seeing of everything. Yeah? There's a seeing of the thoughts that are thoughts about your condition. Yeah? But the thoughts about your condition cannot be cast in any other light than as a body. Even if it's a spiritual body. Yeah? The thought system can't grasp what you are. It can't. The more you think about it, it's not going to ever learn how to grasp what you are because it's defined by the programming that it's from, which is self-centeredness. In other words, the whole center of this thought system is that you're a body. Yeah? So anytime you get any evidence or information about you through thought, it's going to be about you as a body somehow. Even if you believe you're a spirit, you're believing you're a spirit as a body. Yes? You'll be the doer of that belief. Yeah? The doer of the belief in I'm a spirit is a body, is feeling like it's doing that. I believe I'm a spirit. Yes? This comes first. As soon as this is the priority or the imperative, everything else is just like polishing the bondage. You think it's going to release you from the bondage, but it's polishing the bondage. It's how you spit shine your own handcuffs.
Could you tell me how you got out of it again? Because at one time you were in the bondage, weren't you?
No, there was never a me in the bondage. There was bondage, but there has never been a me. Because if there was a me in the bondage, then there'd be a me out of the bondage, and that ain't freedom. Because if there's a me out of the bondage, there's going to be a me back in the bondage. Because the me is going to play God about bondage. You're in it, you're out of it. You're out of it whimsically, too. It has no... You can go on a retreat, and every time you go on a retreat, you feel you're out of the bondage. One retreat, you're in the bondage. Let's see what happens then. What? 13 hours of sitting, this is hell. Yes, you're in the bondage now. And you've signed up for 2 weeks, and it costs $800. You're not leaving early, are you? No. It's playing God. You don't see it? Why is it that you want what you don't have so much? Because there's a possibility to produce exquisite suffering. Yeah. Just imagine what it's like if you really wanted something and you had no recourse of ever having it. What would that do? It would agitate the hell out of your system. Self-centeredness. What would happen? A lot of thoughts would be generated. You'd be thinking about how can I get that, but you have no opportunity to get it. And you'd be thinking what it's going to be like not to have it, and tons of meaning is going to be given to all the possibilities your little system can entertain. Yeah? And once it entertains all the possibilities, it will go back and do it again. Yes? And again, and again, and again. And maybe it'll change the day that you're thinking about, or instead of fixating over your dog Fido, it'll be a dog Biff. You may change the names, but the same dilemma will occur over and over again. It will represent your life to you. Yes, that's what it does. It does it every second, it does it every day, it does it every month, it does it every year. That's all it does. It represents a life. You've missed out on life And so what you get is a representation of it. Bow your head, don't you? Sure. And it's quick. You don't even know you've lost life because you've grown into having the interpretation. Part of the interpretation is this is the only way it goes. This is life. This is the real world. This is how it really is. It's all made up. And the amazing thing is, it's been able to convince us when we've had tons of time probably when we were kids that it wasn't dominating at all. When we had spontaneity and immediacy and intuition and all like that. Things that used to baffle us weren't baffling us. We didn't have fear of financial insecurity of people. I'd run up to any stranger when I was a kid. There was no fear of people, nothing. All this we grew into. We grew into it. We grew into a system called self-centeredness. We isn't implying an I can't speak of what we are. So there was a growing into a system of self-centeredness, and we're experiencing the effects of that, and the system tells us it's normal. This is just the way it is. And then we call others to get verification, because it's so weird how we're feeling a lot of the time. It's a long stretch to call what most people are traveling like normal, but we tend to we fall for it. As long as everyone else is suffering, it's the way it goes. Yeah. And then if someone ever rises above that, you may like it for a while, but then you hate them because that really disturbs your story. Yeah, I hope he dies soon so I can worship him as a dead master. It's really good. Then I can make him anything I want. He's really a nuisance when I see him. Fuck, he's a pain in the ass. I thought he'd be much different than that. A live master is like an irritant, thank God, hopefully. He's not here to soothe and placate. He's here to disrupt and agitate. So that system, that comfortably numb system of self-centeredness, it's sort of like hitting the box and just throwing a wrench in there and seeing it just whir. Just whoosh, you know? And you see how totally crazy it is. And small. It's a small system. Very small. Self-centeredness is so pathetically obvious. It's the same old, same old. The only thing that causes it to seem novel is you're totally entranced in it. Because it's like every time you watch its activity, it's like the pool to, what's his name? Narcissus. You just love to see it's all about me. You're entranced. You just get so absorbed, your attention and interest, because it's about you. Another person's activity would drive you fucking crazy in 2 minutes. You turn the channel off like that. But you don't know. Why could I possibly be thinking about me tomorrow? I can't wait. How am I going to be? How's my mind going to present me tomorrow? Can't wait. I bought $800 worth of clothing today. I hope it likes it. Yes. Yeah, you're looking pretty good. Oh, thank you. Specialness. It doesn't last long, does it? You're in slavery. That's what this whole place is. We're enslaved to a system of thought. Our trying to get out of it is its system of keeping you in it. Your being out of it, trying to get out of it, is the form of being in it. Yes, it's such a system. Once you see a lock or two of locks or three of the locks, then you'll see the principle of the whole system. Yeah. Most people maybe get a view of one lock. They don't realize there's like a safety lock that is, when this one gets threatened, another lock. So when you start moving out of, you think you're moving out of the system of self, it's just another form of self. It's like, you ever see The Matrix, that movie? The three ones, and then there's this guy, Nemo or something, and he's like the savior, yes, and he's gonna bring everyone to awakening, come out of the tubes and whatever, yes? And I'm sure that he felt he was sort of special, whatever, you know, he could fly and do everything, and everyone was thinking, you're the one, the chosen one. And then the third one, he meets a manifestation of the computer program that's running the whole enchilada, the architect, they call it. So then Nemo comes in, and there's all these cameras, these TVs, little TVs with Nemo on every one of them. Yeah? And then the architect breaks the news to Nemo. Hey, yes, you're the sixth savior we've had in the program. Part of the program is an aberration, and this aberration is the savior shows up, and you're the number 6 one. And basically, you ain't getting out of anywhere. You're purely a projection within the system. What? I thought I was the savior. Exactly. We've had 6 of you. That's exactly what's going on here. All day, we think we're special and different. I could see his face, though. If Keanu Reeves had any kind of acting ability, you would have seen that when it realized he wasn't special, it must have been crippling for the Savior. What? You mean there's been another one of me? Yes, there's 6 of you already. And the whole program we've adapted, and we're used to having saviors. Nothing's going to change. Isn't it like that in a way here? Yeah. For you to point out of here, you've got to be in. No out points out. There's no, all there isn't indicating itself. It's here in the dream. There's an indication in the dreamscape from a dreamt object, an indication, hey, this may not be real. This never woke up. There's no need to freaking wake up. There's no one who was bonded and now is not bonded. If they're appearing here, this is an dreamt object, yes? This dreamt object is going, the dreamt object, as a dreamt object, is never leaving here. Never. Bye-bye. No, it's just, this is like a play, in a way. It's humbly my feeling of it. I've died a few times in life, and then the sense of when I came back, when you come back, there's other downloads in a way. You get downloads here, information gets dropped in. And one of the big, very, very impacted things was there is no sense when all there is that, there is no this at all. And when all there is this, there really is no that for you. This is a subjective dream. And in your subjective dream, there may not be a that. It may be a that in conceptual framing, but that is just an object of this, yes? They're like oil and water. They don't mix. No thingness and thingness don't commingle. Yes? All there is no thingness, and this is an appearance in no thingness. But no thingness does not appear here. Yeah? If it appeared here, it appears here as a thing. Yeah? Yeah? So, all there is no thingness, but when it appears, which it appears here as a thing. No thing is, in the sense of being a thing, the appearance of no thing. Yet all things are the appearance of no thing. But not one thing is the appearance of no thing. All things are the appearance of no thing. Yeah? And the best that can happen here as an appearance is just to point with an appearing finger to whatever. It can't name it. It can't tell you where it is. It can't bring it to you. It can't give it to you. It cannot be taken away from you because it's no thingness. Yeah? The system of doing and having is very good here in appearances, but can't be applied to doing and having yourself into no thingness because the rules here don't apply to that. Yes? The rules here, let's say you're in trouble and your health's bad, and if you meditate, maybe your health will get better. Meditation's very helpful. It will calm the mind, yeah? It will allow the high blood pressure to go down. You can affect appearances greatly here by doing things and having things. But you cannot affect yourself into no thingness. This is the good news. Because if you could, it wouldn't be no thingness. If you could do yourself into it, it can't be no thingness, yeah? So in a way, the solution is realizing, yes? To me, realizing the problem is imaginary. Yeah? In other words, this thing that seems so real isn't happening to me. I'm not saying it's not real. It's as real can be to me, but it's not happening to me. It's happening, and there's effects going on like crazy, but none of the effects are happening to me. They're happening to a body, yes? They're happening to another object, and the brain is an object also, yes? So, things are happening, but they're not happening to me. That's the only difference. And there's no one to be verified by that information. Yeah? So no one gets it. Yeah? The getting of it, in a way, is realizing there's no one. But no one gets it. No one gets the message. But the realization, maybe by entertaining the message, that there is no one. That's the message. Yeah? It doesn't mean nothing, everything just stops. It means everything continues just like it's always continued, because it has nothing to do with you. Everything is manifesting. Everything is appearing, and appearing, and appearing, and appearing, but it's not appearing to anyone. That's the only difference. Yeah? And so when your head says, oh, I got it now, I'm not a body, so I don't have to take care of the body, there was never a one to take care of the body. Yes? This is all yapping. Yapping, yapping, yapping. The mind's attempting, by talking, to imply that it's the subject. So it just yaps and yaps and yaps, and then there's the feeling that this is about the subject. I'm the one. I'm the one who's doing things. I'm the one who things are being done to. I feel them. That should verify that they're happening to me. No, all that verifies is stimuli is affecting an object. That's what happens. If I hit this chair and run it into this thing, it's going to leave a mark. Does that imply it's me? No, it doesn't. Why does it imply it's me if it hits my body? Because the act of being identified with a singular object, yes, is the root of the disease that we're experiencing here, a mental disease, where mind's forgotten its nature and become identified as an object. Yeah? So the object is now become objectified by your subjectivity. It's fucking crazy. All you think about is an object all freaking day. If you're thinking about enlightenment, that's an object of thought. They're all objects. Everything that appears, most to the subtlest level to the grossest level, is an appearance. Coming from what? Nothing. And where does it go when it disappears? Nowhere. Oh, I thought a question was coming out. I just grabbed it. The question. The only reason why the question matters is you believe there's a questioner. That's all. How much interested are you in other people's questions? Not much. Oh, I hate questions, but then you love yours. But you hate, I hate hearing people's questions. But your question is really serious. Why? Because it's about you. You don't see it? The whole flavor of this place is from self-centeredness. Yeah. Why does a thought have so much power in your head when it's seen as yours, and if I saw it as yours in my head, it wouldn't have any power over me. I'd have immunity to it. Yeah? If I recognized this broadcast was KZ, I would have such an immunity to it. Yeah? But because it's placed as K. Paul, there is an immunity. Why? Is K. Paul a better station? No. Doesn't have a better, programming. It's the same old, same old. It's there is an interest in it. There is a desire. There's a cherishing, like in Buddhism. They say it's the cherishing of self. In other words, the mind likes it. It likes to be a special individual entity. Yes? And why not? Let it be. Let it like to be that. If you're not that, it's not about stopping that. It's not the self thing doesn't need to stop. Just the implication that you're the self. Yeah? The selfing is going on, but there's something that isn't actually going on. You don't see it. There's like an unconscious agreement with it. Yeah? There is an identification with the selfing that produces something that isn't even seen in each thought, but it's the accumulation of hearing the thought as the thinker that produces a sense of being the one. Yeah? It's not just the seeing the thoughts. If you saw all the thoughts, it still wouldn't make up the feeling of being the thinker. The idea of being the thinker is it's a much like, not older thought, but it's a thought that's wrapped with a feeling. It's a really interesting engagement. And it's there while all the thinking is being noted, there's an underlying, sense that I'm the thinker. It's not like every thought, I'm the thinker of that, you'd be freaking busy as hell. Think, I'm the thinker of this. No, it doesn't even say it anymore. Do you hear it say it? I'm the thinker of this, I'm the thinker of this, I'm the thinker of that, thinker of this. No. But there's a sense that you are. You travel as that, yeah? You travel as the feeler of things. You travel as the questioner. You travel as the one who's doing. Instead of seeing all the doing as just doing, it's held as I'm the doer, yeah? That is the bondage. It's how things are held, not the activity. The activity is just verbing. But the verbing is held as if there's someone it's happening to, or there's someone that's doing it, yeah? And we misconstrue the effects of the body as it being happening to me. Because why? We're identified as the body. So obviously when something happens to the body, the way we interpret it is it's happening to me. Yeah? I can't believe what's happened to me today. What happened to you? This person threw a rock and it hit me. Yeah? Right in the shoulder. Yeah? And this passes as a normal report, yeah? But really, the rock hit a body, yes? But as it's being presented by the system of thought, it's you. You don't see that all day? That everything that's recognized here is held in a certain way that ensures the bondage, yeah? It's like a lullaby all day. Everything is cast as you're the doer of it, or it happened to you. You're the thinker of it. You're the feeler of it. How in hell? So what, if that's the sense, then how do you feel, how can the possibility of not being that present itself? It has to present itself as an activity that you're going to need to do, yes? If you've taken yourself to be the product of the system, which is selfing, and then the dis-ease and discomfort that comes along with that, what are you going to go to for relief from that? The system itself, yes? You've already down the rabbit hole. And so the system will now give you a solution to get out of what seems to be the case, what's causing you the problem. But the solution is always defined by doing and having. Because you're going to be the subject that's going to do something to get out of what you're in. Yeah? And it can be very subtle. So now people are getting subtler here. Now it used to be seeking. Now it's non-seeking. But it's still seeking. Yeah? Because there's a feeling of someone that's not seeking. Just like there was a feeling that someone was seeking. They're not seeing the feeling of being that is the bondage. They believe it's the seeking was the bondage. While I was seeking, I realized I thought that was going to bring me freedom, but it's actually brought me bondage. So now, I'm going to not seek anymore, which is another form of bondage, yes? Because there's the feeling of being the one who said yes to one and no to the other, and now says no to one and yes to the other. Yeah? That hasn't changed. You know what I mean? The whole seeming activity may have changed, but what was doing it didn't change. Why is it that nothing seems to work to bring you lasting freedom? Because none of it's getting to the root, obviously. How can you expect radical relief from the effects if you don't get to the cause? It's impossible. You're always open to more effects. Why? Because what is a cause going to do here in this dream? It's going to have effects. Yes, that's what happens here. So I would say the cause is being not seeing, yes, the making of self, but taking yourself to be like let's say the first brick in the selfing you're standing on as you. Yeah? It doesn't matter how many other bricks you discover and look under and try to change and like that. You're doing it from a brick. Yeah? The bondage is already in place. Even if you experience freedom, it will soon not last, and there will be bondage again. Which isn't freedom and bondage, freedom, bondage, freedom, bondage. Isn't that another form of bondage? Because there's nothing worse than to have an experience of being free and then have the report that you're bonded again. That's really painful. I've seen it happen to a lot of people. They have some really nice experiences, but their representation of their life is that they're bonded again. Oh, it's so painful. It would have been better if they never, like ignorance is bliss in that case, yeah? Wish they never would have fucking had a spiritual experience. It's driven me crazy ever since. I was just happy, eating yogurt and going to movies and not thinking much about the importance of everything I do and don't do. See, it's getting out of obsession with self is another form of obsession with self. Yeah? People. I know people in recovery that do inventories on the minutiae. Give me a break. Just enjoy your sobriety. Come on. I don't want to hear another freaking inventory. My suggestion to you is don't do an inventory. Please, you're going over every little thing. It's just so obsessively into selfing, in a way. Your mind's just absorbed in it. Yet, the whole story is that you're getting out of it. It's incredible, isn't it?
Well, where's the starting point?
Aha! There's the point. Check it out. Well,
There's the what?
that's the point. Where's the starting point? I would just go home and sit with that tonight, maybe. And there'll be a pause that will probably come over you. Yeah? It already happened just then. So where's the starting point?
I've never heard you speak before, and I can relate to what you're saying about because my whole life has been in here and chasing my tail. And I'm 56 years old, and for the first time in my life, I'm trying
Yes.
to practice, letting the mind stop,
Yes. Yeah.
to just, I know the spirit's in there, and I've always felt the spirit, but, I'm definitely caught, there's, I'm having a hard time following you, but there's so much shit inside of me that I feel like that's caught up in, like you say, it's like chasing your tail or whatever.
Yeah. Yes. You don't have to follow me anyway. It's already getting in there. Because of what you just said. So it's already getting in there. You're open, you're ready, you're going to have a nice adventure. Yeah. The thing is what I'm attempting to share with you is maybe hopefully save you a lot of time. Because a lot of time when people start getting that stirring and want to look into a different way, the mind is still bound by the selfing, yes? So, let's say like a noble feeling, if you would call it a noble feeling, let's just say a feeling of, hey, I'm inquisitive, I'd like to know what's going on here, will be commandeered by the mental process and used to form another bondage, yes? And I found what helped me a lot, because I spent a lot of time in my life while I wasn't practicing things, like meditation and lot of different things, Qigong and Tai Chi and all this stuff. And after a time, I had never been aware of certain templates that were over what I was doing. Yeah? Certain, like, other formatted structural mind that I never saw. I was taking everything to be me. And I just assumed that, all right, I'm in this condition, I'm going to do a lot of stuff, and I'm going to change the condition. I'm going to get something. And it's just the only way I could crack it or understand it, yeah? I only had one system to rely on, and that system has failed miserably. Yet, it was the only system my mind knew, so anytime whatever came up, the only way it can apply anything to was that system. So I would see something, go, okay, I've got to do this, and if I meditate enough, and if I do Tai Chi enough, if I do that, there'll be, or even doing drugs, there'll be a point where I'll transcend this dilemma. And the only thing I was a perfect practitioner of in my life was drug addiction. And I'll tell you, there's no transcending an imaginary place. And I would match my devotion to drugs to any devotion to any spiritual teacher of all fucking time. Seriously. I gave up my whole life. I gave up every fucking thing to get high. I'd do anything to keep getting high. Just like the same drive devotees have for their masters, I had for cocaine. And I can with great confidence say there's no transcending this place. Yes? Because it's not a real place. And especially when you're relying on the system that this place appears as, there's no getting out of self as self. Yeah? So I started, instead of meditating anymore, I started to just question who's the meditator. I just started questioning like that saying, what's the starting point? Yeah? And who does it matter to? And I started to ask this freaking thing I assumed to be me, hey, who the hell are you? Yeah? And it would say things to me, and I wouldn't stop. I would just ask, well, who is this me? And I wasn't looking for an answer. I just sat in the pause, and my mind seemed to, well, my first hit on it really, I was on a plane to Australia, and I was just asking myself, who am I? And it would just be like just a drop of relaxation, and there would be like a long pause, and then the whole flight went like that for 14 hours, just kept dropping, and it was just like, and it's sort of like if this whole room, without changing a thing, just dropped 10 feet, your mind wouldn't notice anything, yeah? And it would forget the movement so quick, but the level of relaxation, yeah, was so different after it dropped 10 feet. And then it dropped again, and dropped again, and dropped again. And the level of relaxation, not easily noted, but you could sense it, started coming over you. Nothing changed, yet everything changed, yeah? And then I finally got what I'd been trying to get by doing and having, by not doing anything, and not having anything. Yeah? The system sort of, because I believe it's a verb, so we can be startled into stopping. It's sort of like some phonograph that's stuck on a groove. If you hit it, it'll move the groove, and then the music starts playing again. Yeah? Boom! So this thing is like a pause or a questioning of the subjectivity, whatever you want to do. It's like throwing a wrench in the works. And then what happens is something that you take to be you stops, but something continues. Yeah? And sometimes the stopping of you is long, but something continues in the absence of you. Yeah? I would say that's what we are. What continues when you are absent. Yeah? There is spirit, and it's always so, but it becomes obvious to mind when the selfing has a break, yes? When the selfing stops, the presence is obvious. Immediately, the selfing recoagulates, and then the presence becomes unobvious. And now it's something to do and have, yeah? But it's really the presence of what we are is truly the absence of what we're not. Yeah? But the mind is so obsessed with what you're not, it seems to be the only presence you know. Therefore, the presence of spirit or space isn't obvious to us as a you. That's why you're trying to get it. Literally. That's the only thing that a you would do if it's not obvious to. It would try to get it if you're so inclined. Yes? That's the natural response from that system. I'm going to get some of that presence. But the presence is really your absence. So how can an absence get the presence? Yeah? It's just seeing, telling the truth about the absence as the presence. And the sense of presence then is like it's always been so. It's not like you were there and now you've left and now it's there. It's like there was never a you that was there. That's sort of a feeling. Yeah. Yeah. And then, for me, it's like an unspoken yes. It's a knowing prior to thinking about it or understanding it or learning it. It's all different. It's a whole different way of sensing it. And then, if you want to call it a communication or a download into this apparatus, new downloads occur, and then there's more is revealed, like it says in AM. More will be revealed. But all that happens is, whatever revealed is just distilled into one statement, and I'm not that. That's all that can be revealed, is what you're not. Yeah? Everything gets unclothed, or the disguise falls away. And more you see that all of this is not what you're not, and it actually is what you are. But first it's what you're not. And then you realize all it is what you are. What's appearing is like emptiness is form, and form is emptiness. Yeah? So non-appearance is appearing, and appearing is non-appearance. Yeah? Yeah. So, but to begin with the idea, if you can entertain you're not the center of the system called self-centeredness, you will lose interest in that system. You'll lose interest in it. Your attention and interest will be unwed to that, and then your interest and attention will go where it will go, and it will be directed how it will be directed. But you'll know, in a sense, like Jesus says, you'll know the tree by the fruit. Yeah? You'll know you're onto something just by how much you're traveling lighter here. Yeah? You'll have an immunity to the thought system. It won't be able to triangulate you as a body anymore. That's all it does. Yeah? It pictures you somewhere at some time, which verifies you are here now, and then it projects you somewhere at some time, so that you can obsess over what may happen to you. Yeah.
I'm so wound up into it, I go to bed with tension, wake up.
Yes, yeah. But you're not that, which is so wound up into it. That's the good news. What's saying that it's you is not you. Yeah? It's inferring that it's you that goes to bed with tension and wakes up with it, but it's only the mind and the body that's tense. That's not you. You're what sees that. Yeah? You're what sees the condition of the body. You're not the condition of the body. Something is telling you what the condition of the body is, because there's a seeing of the condition of the body. The mind interprets that seeing and makes it about you. But there's a seeing of the condition of the body, just like I can see the condition of a wall, because I'm a house painter, if I can paint it or not yet. I can see the marks and everything and the divots, so I can easily see the condition of the wall. I don't think I'm the wall. The same thing happens with this. You see the conditions of the body, but you think you're the body. A little bit of difference, yeah? A huge difference. That's the difference between quote-unquote heaven and hell. Just that interest and attention. Yeah? If you could see yourself as... Actually, I take care of... The body gets taken care of better now, because when the mind had a vested interest in it, the body was its proving ground. If it believed that there's something really wrong with it, it would use the body to verify that. Yeah? If there's this aspect of hating itself, which my mind had, I have scars to show it. Yeah? I've been run over twice in one night. The guy hit me and it backed up over me. I mean, this only happens to certain characters. Yeah? There's a lot of self-hatred, self-hating self, which gets played out where? In the body. You're neither of them, but the body gets to be the depository for all that venom and vindictiveness, yes? When you entertain, when you get, you're not this, I'll tell you, the maintenance of it just works a lot better. It's funny, you would think that if it was you, you'd really take care of it. It's usually the opposite. Your mind's playing out tons of little, like, Greek tragedies. And where does it play it out? It dumps it in the body. The emotional body, the physical body, yeah? It's dumping it in it. This is where it can show its effects. This is where it's God. This is where it can, quote-unquote, create things. It doesn't create anything. It makes them, but create things. Look at this. I worry so much I've got an ulcer or something. Whatever. It's crazy. Yeah? You really don't know what your head actually thinks about its little making, the self. It may have a real opinion about it that's really nasty. And it's going to play itself out here, really. If it believes that you're not lovable, it doesn't matter how many times love comes to your door, you won't recognize the package, yeah? So you'll suffer. Can you imagine this? We said this the other day. This would be incredible, right? You've been listening to your head your whole life. Not you, but the mind, yeah? So let's say you're around 70 years old, and you're in the deathbed. And then the mind, once again, its final broadcast, yes? It's going to survey the 30 to 70 years of your life, and it comes up with its editorial. You fucking wasted your whole life. And then you die the next second. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine sitting there and then it just makes up a story of 70 years of things happening? You fucking wasted this whole life. I mean, can you imagine being the butt end of a joke like that? Yeah, I could. And then you think the person died just then? There is no time. That person, from the moment he believed that, he may see a whole life go by and have to excruciatingly live all the verification that he wasted a whole life. His mind, in that second, can make an eternity. You don't think so? Shit, it can do anything. Yeah, you think, oh, he passed away happily. You don't know what the fuck happened to that mind. Yeah, does he call you back when he leaves? Oh, that was a smooth transition. He fucking went to hell, the mind. Yeah? Why? Because he believed this fucking false heavens appearing real again, pontificating, accounting for your whole life, adding up all the numbers. Oh, you were a loser. Oh. How is it going to be different? It's doing right now. Isn't this the moment of death in a sense? It is the moment of death in time. This moment that just left's never coming back. Did you die to it? Or did you die as it? It's like a form of slavery. The mind is enslaved in what it's enslaved with what it's entertained to be itself. It doesn't seem to be able to break free now. Yeah? It just entertained it once. It got caught by that glimpse. Oh, I'm Matt in the pond, and now it's stuck. I just see if I'm not that which gets stuck and unstuck, then what the hell am I? If I'm not, who is it? What's first? What begets what? Does the looking beget the looker, or is it the looker looking? Yeah? Does the seeing beget the seer, or is it the seer that's seeing? Is it the seer that's seeing? In other words, is all the verbs of life done by a noun? Or does the seeing, when interpreted by the mind, produce the sense of the seer? Without the seeing, there'd be no feeling of being Z. Without the living, there'd be no feeling of being Z. Without Paul, there'd be no Z. Without an other, there can't be a self. Yes? The verbing is first. The verbing is life. Everything after that is secondary. Everything is the mental interpretation of conscious contact. It takes conscious contact to be you as the one who's thinking, you as the one who's seeing, you as the one who's hearing, and then it just selfs all around what's seen, what's been heard, what's been felt, what's been had by you. Yeah? And part of that enchantment is the feeling and desire you'd really not like to be enchanted. But man, it's a lot of people want to be free, but many, very few want to be free. They want to be free is what they're enchanted with. And that's the bondage, yes? No one's handcuffed us to this place. We've submitted ourselves because we cherish what's showing up.
Because we don't know what freedom's like, so it's scary.
To what? To who?
To the part that's enjoying the bondage.
Well, thank God you're not that. That's the good news. Yes? So when there's a statement, to who that's scary?
So many people like wasting their time.
There aren't any
people just in bondage, suffering, and so few that like get the joke. Like got the punchline. Like,
Well, why not?
Waiting for the punchline.
Why not?
Because it's frustrating and painful here. And I like see a light at the end of the tunnel with your little face on it, and I'm like,
I turn around. That's a perfect place to be right there. See? Yeah. See what? There must be something that notices all those feelings that are put together and are called frustration. There must be some activity that sees that, yeah? There must be an activity that is so still that it's what reflects all the other activity. Yeah? There must be, yes? So your acknowledgement of a form of exquisite suffering is seen. Yeah? Is seen. Not by you, but is seen. So even in the throes of the recognition of extreme suffering, what so is shining. Yeah? It's the seeing of it. If you could entertain possibly that that's true, yeah, then what happens in a way, all the wanting to run with the ball is put down, and then in the way like in recovery it says, then you seem to be placed in a position of neutrality. And what neutrality is, pure reflection, with no opinion, yes? It just sees. It sees the frustration, it sees the joy. It sees the mind tying itself in a knot. It sees the nine unwind. It never blinks. It's always so. It doesn't ripple this way or that way. That's why it's not very difficult to sense, because it's always so, with no qualities, no up or down and this and that. Yes, but there can be an intimation of it by just starting to see. And then hopefully entertaining the message that what's claiming the seeing is not you, so that you start seeing that. Yeah? You start seeing what thinks it's the seer. Yeah? And then more and more, hopefully, to me, my belief in it is that I have total confidence in mind, and by just repetition, it's like walking in a room and waking someone up, and some of us have the habit, they go right back to sleep. But you go back in, you wake them up. Others get up like that. But this thing, to me, the love is that conscious contact is always coming in the room and waking you up. Always. Always. It never takes a break. It never says, oh, I give up on that one. No, it's always seeing, hearing. Always, as long as you're alive. So the invitation, to me, it's the highest form of love, because it's always available. Or in a course it would say its nature is to extend. Yeah? It's love just extends. So what is extending here? Conscious contact, isn't it? Your whole life, every thought has been seen. The ones that you think you've had, they must have been seen. So consciousness has always been here, always available at all times, right in the living of it. Right in the living of it, everything, in a sense, instead of indicating it's you, it's indicating that. Yeah? The mind took the indication and pointed it to a body and said it's me, and then the looking or the form of looking called self-centeredness got applied. But if it's been applied, it can be unapplied, because the seeing is still so, yeah? It's just been covered over by a form of looking. So while the seeing is demonstrating, it's called I'm looking, yeah? That's how we feel it, yeah? I'm looking. And now we try to use that to see the seeing, you know? I'm going to start looking for the seeing. Yeah? I'm going to start looking for the seeing. All the while, that's the seeing. I'm going to... Where is that seeing? It's frustrating. Well, how about questioning this? Same. First there is the mountain. Then there is no mountain. Woo! Then there is the mountain. Oh, it's real, it's real. Oh, it's me. Oh, jeez. Oh, freedom. Oh, it's. But now you see it through. Yes, there's no bondage anymore. It's okay. Selfing's fine. It's a verb. Just doing what it's doing. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. Something shifted pretty cool in here a few weeks back.
Yeah.
So we backtrack and realize when I was 17, I got this cool award in my community for having the best grades together with sports, together with student government, all that kind of thing. And it got a lot of respect. And then it was like in years since then, there hadn't been anything to get that kind of big deal respect again. My friends respect me and all that, but in that community sense. But we had this myth of the Zen master enlightened dude that was like this, thing everyone made a fuss over. And I realized that for all these years, in addition to wanting to end the experience of suffering, there's been also to get that monkey off my back. If I could get to like this enlightened place, that thing would shut up and give me some rest of, what have you done lately? And it was interesting just to feel that drop away.
Yeah.
In the midst of being here on these different weeks.
Oh, cool. Yeah. For me, it's like you give up the need to be liberated, and you don't give it up. It's just like that. It's like skin molting. Yeah. You have nothing to do with it. It's just the natural consequences of mind coming out of that yogic posture of self-centeredness. Yeah? And there's byproducts. Things start happening. And there's no, you can't make it a story of it's you doing it. It's just that you're just witnessing it being done. Yeah? It's just things are happening to the apparatus, the mind. It's coming under new management, so to speak. Spruces the place up. Smells better. They got the sage in there. Under new management. That's what we should have above all our lives. Under new management. You can see everyone who's in recovery, a little sign. Under new management. Thank God. That's good.
It was as simple as what you say, it just was as simple as skin falling off the body.
Yeah. It is crazy. Something that seemed to have had you for a long time. Yeah, and it seems like there's no way, and then suddenly, don't even hear it. It's like a little click, and the whole handcuff falls, and it just dangles and falls off. It's not like you've been wrestling with it. What happened? Suddenly it gets super loose and just falls off. Your whole life was, your doing this was actually giving the handcuff the ability to cuff. Really? When you get to a point of being exhausted, it just falls off. It's difficult to claim that as being the doer of it, yeah? It's because there's a witnessing of it. It's nothing to do with you. You're just actually the effects of it, yeah? The effects show up here. Yeah. I truly believe we're just expressions, forms of expression. Our true form of expression. Just like when alcoholism had us, or addiction, we were expressing what alcoholism looks like through a human form, yeah? And we were, some of us, great expressions of it. All of us were, yeah? And then let's say you get recovered into recovery, and what happens? The same format is used to express another state of mind, which is called recovery. I mean, there is no one stable, inherent quality. We're just, yeah? You can be a sinner and a saint in one day. You can be a sinner and saint your whole life. Yeah? You can be a sinner. You can be a drug addict and a recovered person. It's this giant tide of dualistic movement. Yeah, and expressing. So what happens if you don't there's no identification with the expressions, then you get the real sense of life is just happening. Life is just verbing. Yeah? And the mind it feels very uncomfortable with that, so it wants to make up nouns. So you watch it make up nouns. Yeah? This is happening to me. And it shouldn't be happening. Like a guy when